Have you ever found yourself wondering if the way you touch your body today is still the way your body wants to be touched? Especially after 60, this question becomes more common than most men will admit. And if you've asked yourself that quietly in the back of your mind, you're not alone. Millions of men reach a certain age and suddenly start questioning whether masturbation is still normal, whether it's safe, and whether it can still bring the same comfort and release it once did. The truth is, this subject is almost never talked about openly, yet it is one of the most important aspects of men's health as the years go by. Here at Everyday Ageless, we believe in cutting through the silence and giving you the information you deserve, and today, we're going to do exactly that. We're going to talk honestly, respectfully, and without shame about how to take care of yourself, how to keep your confidence strong, and how to maintain a healthy, satisfying relationship with your body well past the age of 60. First, let's set the record straight. Masturbation is not only normal, it is healthy. Science has shown time and time again that gentle self-stimulation provides multiple benefits for older men. It helps blood keep flowing through the penis, which supports erectile health. It nourishes the prostate by encouraging circulation in that area. It lowers stress hormones that can quietly work against your well-being, and it even improves sleep by calming the nervous system. Think of it as a natural reset button for both your body and your mind. Yet, despite all of these benefits, many men feel hesitant. Some wonder, should I even be doing this at my age? Others secretly fear that it might be dangerous or even harmful. The problem isn't the act itself, it's how it's done. The truth is, the way your body responds in your 60s or 70s is not the same as how it did in your 20s or 30s. That's not failure, that's biology. Skin becomes thinner, nerve endings become a little less sensitive, blood vessels respond more slowly, and can be more delicate. That means your body doesn't want the same kind of stimulation it once did. It wants something different, slower, gentler, more mindful. This is exactly why the conversation we're about to have matters so much. You deserve to know how to adapt, how to avoid the mistakes that can quietly drain your confidence, and how to approach your body in a way that gives you not only pleasure, but also long-term health and peace of mind. And before we go further, I want to invite you to be part of this journey with us. At Everyday Ageless, we share honest, science-backed insights to help you protect your health, your vitality, and your confidence at every age. If that sounds like the kind of support you want in your life, make sure to subscribe right now. That way you'll never miss the practical guidance and uplifting encouragement that can make aging feel less like a decline and more like an evolution. Now, why is this topic so rarely addressed? In many cultures, men grow up believing that sexual health is something to keep private, even secret. That silence leads to decades of misinformation and shame. By the time men reach their later years, they've carried these unspoken rules for so long that asking questions feels awkward or even wrong. But here's what's important. Your body still deserves attention. Your sexuality does not expire when the calendar turns past 6. If anything, this is the moment when listening to your body matters more than ever. Imagine your body as a lifelong partner. In your younger years, that partner might have been energetic, quick to respond, and ready for anything. As the years pass, the same partner becomes wiser, calmer, and more sensitive. You wouldn't push or rush someone who has slowed down. You would meet them with patience, respect, and kindness. Your body deserves the same. When you approach self-pleasure with that same spirit of care, you open the door to a new kind of satisfaction, one that feels restorative, nourishing, and deeply connected. And that's exactly what we're here to explore. Not through judgment, not through outdated myths, but through clear, compassionate guidance. Because the reality is this: the way you treat yourself now can either build a foundation of strength, confidence, and intimacy for years to come, or it can slowly wear away at your health and self-esteem. Which path you take depends on understanding what mistakes to avoid and what simple, practical shifts to make. So if you've ever felt uncertain, ashamed, or even frustrated with your body as you've gotten older, take a breath and know this: you are not alone and you are not broken. You are simply at a stage of life where your body is asking for a new kind of attention, and once you learn how to give it, you'll discover that pleasure, vitality, and confidence are still very much within reach. When men reach their 60s and beyond, the body begins to speak a different language. It doesn't move, feel, or respond in quite the same way it once did. For some, this change can feel discouraging or even confusing. But here's the truth. These changes are not signs of failure. They are simply the natural rhythm of aging. And when you learn to listen to that rhythm, you unlock a deeper, more satisfying connection with yourself. So why does safe and mindful self-pleasure matter so much after 60? The answer lies in how the body evolves. As the years pass, skin becomes thinner, nerves fire a little more slowly, and blood vessels become more sensitive to strain. On the surface, that might sound like a list of limitations, but looked at another way, it's an invitation to care for yourself differently. Think of it like a fine instrument. A brand new guitar can handle a rough strum, but a well-aged guitar, with its rich tone and history, asks for gentler fingers. Treat it with care, and it will sing in ways a brand new one never could. Your body works the same way. One of the biggest misconceptions many men carry into later life is that pleasure is supposed to look or feel exactly as it did decades ago. That belief can lead to frustration when arousal takes longer, or when sensation feels different. But here's the liberating shift. Different doesn't mean worse. Different can mean richer, more layered, and more fulfilling, if you meet your body where it is now. Safe and mindful self-pleasure supports far more than just sexual health. Physically, it keeps blood circulating through delicate tissues, which maintains vitality in areas that depend on strong blood flow. For the prostate, that gentle movement and release can be protective. For the nervous system, the calming effect of mindful touch lowers stress hormones, helping you feel more relaxed. Even sleep can improve when the body is allowed to release tension in a healthy, safe way. Emotionally, the benefits may be even greater. Many older men carry silent doubts. Am I normal? Is it okay that I still want this? Shouldn't I be past this by now? The answer is simple. No, you are not past it. Desire is part of being human at every stage of life. Mindful self-pleasure is not a sign of immaturity or weakness. It's a sign that you care about your well-being, that you are willing to stay connected to your body, and that you honor yourself enough to provide what you need. Adapting your approach is not about losing your masculinity. It's about gaining wisdom. Imagine an older sports car that has traveled thousands of miles. It still has strength, it still has beauty, but it asks for different care than it did on its first day off the lot. Regular oil changes, careful handling, the right fuel, these things keep it running smoothly. In the same way, a mindful approach to self-pleasure ensures that your body continues to function with strength and dignity for years to come. And let's be clear, this isn't only about avoiding problems. Yes, being mindful can help prevent soreness, irritation, or frustration. But the greater reward is what it gives you in return. A renewed sense of intimacy with yourself, a deeper calm, and the confidence that comes from knowing your body is still capable of pleasure and connection. What's often missing from this conversation is acceptance. For too long, men have been taught to hide or ignore their needs as they age. They compare themselves to their younger selves and feel that something is wrong when things change. But nothing is wrong. Aging is not a disease, it's an evolution. The body is asking for gentleness, patience, and presence, not because it is weaker, but because it is wiser. When you approach self-pleasure with this mindset, everything shifts. Instead of rushing or forcing, you allow. Instead of criticizing your body for not performing the way it once did, you thank it for what it still offers. That small shift in perspective turns what might have been a source of stress into a source of healing. So why does it matter? Because this practice is about more than physical release. It's about protecting your health, nurturing your confidence, and reminding yourself that pleasure does not have an expiration date. Every time you engage in mindful, safe self-pleasure, you're sending yourself a message. I am still here. I am still worthy. My body still matters. And that is the heart of living agelessly. Not chasing youth, but honoring the body you have today. Not clinging to the past, but stepping into a wiser, more connected future. First mistake, rushing the process. One of the most common habits men carry with them from youth into later life is speed. For decades, many have been conditioned to see self-pleasure as something quick, private, and secret, a release to get over with before anyone notices. That habit can linger long after the urgency is gone. By the time a man reaches 60 or 70, rushing may still feel automatic. But here's the problem. What worked in your 20s doesn't serve your body in the same way now. In fact, rushing is one of the quiet mistakes that can slowly erode satisfaction and leave you feeling more frustrated than fulfilled. Why does speed cause such trouble? The answer lies in how your body responds under pressure. When you move too quickly, your nervous system doesn't have time to relax. Instead of easing into arousal, your body stays in a state of alertness, almost like it's bracing for interruption. Breathing becomes shallow, blood vessels tighten instead of opening, and the natural rhythm that brings pleasure is replaced by a mechanical race to the finish. The result? You may reach climax, but it feels less satisfying, less nourishing, and sometimes even leaves you tense or sore. Think about it like eating a meal. If you sit down and rush through every bite, shoveling food in as fast as possible, your body doesn't digest well. You miss the flavor, you miss the enjoyment, and you're left feeling heavy rather than nourished. But when you slow down, savor the meal, and let your body take its time, you leave the table not only full, but truly satisfied. Self-pleasure after 60 works the same way. Your body no longer wants speed, it wants presence. Let's look at what happens physiologically. When you rush, the brain continues scanning for danger. This is a leftover survival mechanism. Moving fast tells the body to stay alert. But arousal thrives on the opposite signal, safety. Only when your body feels safe do your blood vessels soften, your nerves fully awaken, and your tissues respond with sensitivity. In other words, slowing down is not just about making the experience last longer. It's about creating the internal conditions that make pleasure richer, deeper, and healthier. Now, this is not about turning the experience into a long, complicated ritual. It's about giving yourself permission to take a few extra minutes, to create a moment where you're not pulled in 5 directions at once. Imagine closing the door, silencing the phone, and simply breathing for a moment before you even begin. Those small adjustments send your nervous system a powerful message. You are safe, you can relax, you can enjoy this. Some men find it strange at first. If you've spent decades treating self-pleasure like a race, slowing down might even feel awkward. But think of it this way. If you've always driven on the highway at top speed, the first time you take the scenic route it feels unfamiliar. Yet, once you notice the view, the calm, and the absence of stress, you realize it offers something you've been missing all along. Practical steps can make this shift easier. Start by focusing on your breath. Before you touch yourself, take 3 or 4 slow, deep breaths. Notice how your chest rises and falls. This simple act calms the nervous system and prepares the body for relaxation. Next, pay attention to setting. Instead of rushing in silence or secrecy, create a calm space. That might mean dimming the lights, putting on soft music, or simply choosing a time when you know you won't be interrupted. These aren't luxuries, they are signals to your body that it can let go. As you begin, think less about the destination and more about the experience itself. Notice the warmth of your skin, the rhythm of your breathing, the way sensation builds when you're not forcing it. Treat the act like a mindful practice, similar to meditation or gentle stretching. When your mind wanders to performance or speed, bring it back to the simple feeling of presence. Over time, this change rewires your body's response. Instead of associating touch with tension and urgency, you begin to associate it with calm and connection, and the reward is significant. Not only does pleasure feel fuller, but your body benefits too. Better circulation, less strain, and a nervous system that learns to relax rather than brace. Most importantly, you discover that satisfaction doesn't come from rushing to the finish line. It comes from allowing yourself to enjoy the path itself. The moment you stop treating self-pleasure like a task and start treating it like care, your experience changes. And with that change comes a renewed sense of confidence and peace in your own skin. So if you've noticed that things don't feel as good as they used to, or if you find yourself unsatisfied afterward, ask yourself, am I rushing? And if the answer is yes, try slowing down just once. Give your body that gift of time and presence. You may be surprised at how much more fulfilling, restorative, and meaningful the experience becomes. Second mistake, using too much pressure. Another common pattern that many men unknowingly carry into their later years is the use of too much pressure. For decades, perhaps without even realizing it, some men develop a habit of gripping tightly or moving with force in order to feel stimulation. At first, it might seem effective, especially if sensitivity has lessened with age, but over time, this approach creates more problems than it solves. After 60, the body deserves gentleness, not strain, and learning to soften your touch can make the difference between ongoing pleasure and growing frustration. So, why is excessive pressure a mistake? Imagine a delicate musical instrument like a violin. The strings are designed to vibrate beautifully when touched with care. But if you crank them too tight or press down too hard, the sound becomes harsh and eventually the strings wear out. Your body works in a similar way. The penis is not just skin, it is made up of sensitive nerve endings, spongy blood vessels, and tissues that are meant to respond best to steady, moderate stimulation. When you squeeze or rub too hard, you compress those vessels and overwhelm the nerves. At first it might create strong sensation, but over time the nerves begin to dull and the tissues lose responsiveness. This is how many men find themselves dealing with what some call death grip syndrome, a situation where the body only responds to one specific kind of pressure, usually their own hand. That makes it harder to enjoy natural arousal, harder to connect with a partner, and often leaves men feeling stuck. On top of that, too much friction can irritate or even create micro tears in the skin, which become sore and make future touch less enjoyable. But here's the encouraging news, this cycle can be broken. The body has an amazing ability to adapt when given the right care. Just as overworked muscles relax with gentle massage, tissues that have been conditioned to expect force can recover sensitivity with a softer approach. The first step is awareness. Many men don't realize how much pressure they're actually using until they consciously pay attention. You can try a simple experiment. Loosen your grip by just a small degree and notice the difference. At first, it may feel strange, even unsatisfying. That's normal. It's not a sign that your body isn't working. It's simply showing you that it has been conditioned to expect intensity. With time and patience, the nerves can reawaken to gentler touch, and what once felt dull begins to feel alive again. Using a natural, fragrance-free lubricant can also make a world of difference. Lubricant reduces friction, protects the skin, and allows you to explore lighter, more varied movements without discomfort. Think of it as adding oil to that fine instrument. The strings glide more smoothly, and the sound becomes richer. Your body deserves the same care. Another helpful mindset shift is to stop thinking of self-pleasure as a task to complete, and instead see it as a therapeutic massage. When you go for a massage, the goal isn't to rush or to press as hard as possible. The goal is to release tension, improve circulation, and bring the body into balance. Approach your own touch in the same way. Slow, mindful strokes, varied pressure, and attention to how your body feels in the moment create a healthier, more enjoyable experience. And remember, gentleness doesn't mean less pleasure. In fact, when the nerves and tissues are cared for, they become more responsive. What once required force to notice can begin to feel pleasurable with far less effort. The experience shifts from mechanical to connected, from draining to restorative. Think of it this way: an older sports car doesn't need to be pushed to its limits to be appreciated. In fact, careful handling and mindful driving bring out its best qualities. Likewise, your body at this stage of life has a richness that can only be unlocked with patience and respect. So if you've noticed a decline in sensitivity, or if you feel stuck relying on one specific technique, it may be time to let go of excess pressure. Loosen your grip, bring in lubrication, and allow yourself to experiment with new rhythms. At first, it may take patience, but over time you'll rediscover a broader range of sensation and the confidence that your body can still respond with vitality. And like any habit, it can be changed. By choosing gentleness, you're not giving up pleasure, you're reclaiming it in a healthier, more sustainable way. And in doing so, you protect not only your sensitivity, but also your ability to connect, to feel, and to enjoy intimacy fully, both with yourself and with a partner. Third mistake: ignoring emotional factors. When conversations about self-pleasure come up, the focus is usually on the physical technique, circulation, or sensation. Yet one of the most overlooked truths, especially after 60, is that the mind and the body are inseparable. The third mistake many men make is ignoring the emotional side of self-pleasure. And what's often missed is just how powerful emotions can be in shaping arousal, satisfaction, and overall well-being. For many men, shame about masturbation began decades ago. Perhaps they were told it was wrong, dirty, or something to be hidden. Those early messages don't vanish with age. They linger quietly, shaping how men feel even in their 60s and 70s. Shame shows up in subtle ways: guilt afterward, tension during the act, or even difficulty fully relaxing. It's not that the body can't respond, but that the mind has placed quiet roadblocks in the way. Then there's the reality of aging. Looking in the mirror and noticing changes in skin, in response time, in stamina, can spark self-criticism. Thoughts like "I'm slower now," or "I don't look like I used to," can creep in, and those thoughts matter. They don't just live in the mind, they trigger hormones and affect circulation. Stress hormones rise, blood vessels tighten, and arousal becomes more of a struggle. What begins as a thought becomes a physical barrier. And let's not forget the weight of everyday stress. Financial concerns, family responsibilities, health worries, these can all raise cortisol levels. Cortisol is a stress hormone, and it is one of arousal's greatest enemies. It tells the body, stay alert, stay guarded, when what the body really needs is safety, softness, and openness. Here's an image that may help. Imagine music playing in the background during a dinner. If the music is loud, chaotic, and harsh, the meal feels rushed and uncomfortable. If the music is calm and gentle, the same dinner feels relaxed, even joyful. Your emotions are that background music for self-pleasure. They set the tone. If shame, stress, or self-criticism are playing, satisfaction is hard to find. But when compassion, patience, and kindness take the stage, the experience transforms into something deeply restorative. This is why it's so important not to ignore emotions. They are not a distraction. They are central to the experience. And here's where I want to pause and say this. If you're finding these insights meaningful, and you want more honest conversations about aging with confidence, this is exactly what we do at Everyday Ageless. So take a moment right now to subscribe. You'll be joining a community where your questions, your health, and your dignity always come first. Now, let's talk about solutions. The first is self-compassion. Instead of approaching self-pleasure like a test of performance, reframe it as an act of care. You're not proving anything. You're giving your body and your mind the gift of attention and connection. A gentle change in mindset can turn frustration into relaxation. The second solution is honesty. If shame or doubt feels heavy, don't keep it locked inside. Talk to someone you trust, a doctor, a therapist, even a close friend. The simple act of sharing can dissolve so much of the weight. You may discover that what you thought was a private struggle is something many men experience, and that realization can be incredibly freeing. The third solution is setting the stage emotionally, not just physically. That might mean deep breathing before you begin, putting on music that soothes you, or even taking a warm shower to release tension. These small acts signal to both your body and your mind, this is safe, this is allowed, this is for my well-being. Remember, ignoring emotions is like trying to drive a car while pretending the engine doesn't matter. You can polish the wheels all you want, But if the engine isn't cared for, the car won't move smoothly. Your emotions are the engine of arousal. When they're tuned and respected, everything else falls into place. So if you've been struggling, it may not be your body at fault. It may simply be the weight of unacknowledged emotions. And the beautiful thing is, you can change that. By practicing compassion, honesty, and reframing self-pleasure as self-care, you open the door to deeper satisfaction, physically, emotionally, and even spiritually. Strength at this stage of life isn't about suppressing emotions. True strength is about acknowledging them, meeting them with kindness, and treating yourself with the dignity you deserve. Because when you respect your emotions, you're not just improving pleasure, you're improving your whole relationship with yourself. Fourth mistake, neglecting hygiene and self-care. When most people think about self-pleasure, hygiene may not be the first thing that comes to mind. Yet after 60, it becomes one of the most important aspects of keeping the experience both safe and enjoyable. One of the quiet mistakes many men make is overlooking the role of simple self-care: clean hands, clean tools, and the right lubricants. While it may seem like a small detail, neglecting it can create irritation, discomfort, or even infections that turn what should be a restorative moment into a frustrating one. Let's reframe this right away. This isn't about being obsessive, and it's not about adding stress to the experience. It's about respect. Just as you'd wash your face in the morning, or brush your teeth at night, paying attention to hygiene and intimacy is a way of saying to your body, "You matter, and I'm taking care of you." Think of your body like a well-loved musical instrument. Over the years, it has played many songs and carried countless memories. If you leave dust and grime to collect on the strings, or never polish the wood, the sound loses its clarity. But when you keep it clean, cared for, and properly tuned, the music remains beautiful. Your body deserves the same maintenance. Clean hands and the right kind of lubricant are like that polish, small acts of care that preserve sensitivity and ensure a smoother, more harmonious experience. Why is this especially important after 60? As we age, skin becomes thinner, more fragile, and sometimes slower to heal. A small irritation that might have been nothing decades ago can now take longer to settle. Sensitive tissues deserve extra protection. Washing your hands before touching yourself removes bacteria and reduces the risk of irritation. If you use toys or cloths, keeping them clean is just as essential. These are not chores, they're protective steps that allow you to enjoy yourself without distraction or discomfort. Lubricants also play a key role. Friction can be harsh on delicate tissue, and over time, dryness can become more common as hormone levels shift. A natural, fragrance-free lubricant not only prevents irritation, but also enhances sensation, making gentler touch feel more satisfying. The best options are those without unnecessary chemicals or strong scents, products designed to be skin-friendly and safe. Choosing the right lubricant is like choosing the right fuel for an engine. It keeps everything running smoothly and avoids unnecessary wear. Another element of self-care is the environment. Many men still treat self-pleasure as something rushed or hidden, carried out in uncomfortable or distracting spaces. But creating a clean, calm setting changes everything. It doesn't have to be elaborate. Simply choosing a quiet room, dimming the lights, or using a clean towel can transform the mood. These choices aren't about indulgence. They're about removing distractions and signaling to your body that this is a safe, respectful time just for you. Framing hygiene and self-care as acts of respect rather than chores makes a huge difference. Too often men view these steps as unnecessary or even bothersome. But when you shift your perspective, they become part of the ritual that enhances pleasure. Cleanliness ensures comfort, reduces worry, and allows you to fully focus on sensation. It's not only about avoiding problems, it's about creating the best possible conditions for pleasure. Consider how you feel after a hot shower. Your skin feels refreshed, your muscles relaxed, and your mind more at ease. Now imagine carrying that feeling into self-pleasure. The experience becomes not just physical, but restorative. You're no longer rushing or distracted by small irritations. Instead, you're present, confident, and comfortable in your own skin. Some men hesitate, thinking this level of care is unnecessary. But the truth is, your body has carried you through decades of life. Doesn't it deserve a little extra respect now? A clean environment, gentle products, and mindful preparation aren't luxuries. They're acknowledgments of the value of your health and dignity. When you treat hygiene and self-care as part of the experience, you shift the focus from just getting it done to creating something meaningful. Each step becomes an act of kindness toward yourself, and in return, your body responds with greater ease, greater comfort, and greater satisfaction. So if you've been neglecting this, consider making a small change. Wash your hands, use clean materials, and invest in a safe natural lubricant. Notice how different it feels to approach the experience, not as a task, but as a moment of care. Over time, this mindset strengthens your connection to your body, enhances sensitivity, and builds confidence. Hygiene and self-care aren't about perfection. They're about dignity, respect, and creating conditions where your body can thrive. And when you honor yourself in these small but powerful ways, you'll discover that pleasure becomes more consistent, more comfortable, and more deeply rewarding. Fifth mistake: ignoring signals from the body. The final mistake that many men make, often without realizing it, is ignoring the signals their body is trying to send. After 60, the body has a quieter but wiser voice. It communicates through subtle changes, sometimes through discomfort, sometimes through sensitivity shifts, sometimes through visible signs like redness or swelling. Yet too often these signals are brushed aside, either out of habit, embarrassment, or the belief that it will just go away. But here's the truth: your body is not working against you, it is working for you. Every twinge, every change, every sign of discomfort is your body's way of saying, "Pay attention, I need care." Ignoring those signals doesn't make them disappear. It only delays the care that could prevent bigger problems later. Think of it like driving a car. When the warning light flashes on the dashboard, you have a choice. You can cover it up with tape and pretend it isn't there, or you can take the car in for a tune-up. One choice protects the engine and keeps the car running smoothly for years. The other risks a breakdown that could have been avoided. Your body works in exactly the same way. Signals like pain, swelling, or sudden changes in sensitivity are your warning lights. They are not signs of weakness, they are signs of wisdom. So what are some of the signals worth noticing? Persistent soreness after self-pleasure is one. Occasional mild irritation may happen if you've gone too fast or too rough, but if discomfort lingers, it's worth paying attention. Swelling, redness, or small sores should never be ignored, especially if they don't resolve quickly. Changes in sensitivity, whether you feel far less than usual or suddenly much more, can also be indicators of underlying issues. And of course, any pain that feels sharp, burning, or unusual is your body's way of asking you to stop and listen. Now, it's important to frame this without fear. Experiencing a change doesn't automatically mean something is seriously wrong. Most of the time, these signals are the body's gentle reminders to adjust how you're caring for yourself, slowing down, using lubricant, or being more mindful of hygiene. But sometimes they can also point to conditions like circulatory issues, skin sensitivity, or even prostate-related concerns. And this is where wisdom comes in. Reaching out to a doctor when you notice changes is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of strength. It's no different from maintaining that well-loved sports car. Regular checkups and timely care keep everything in balance. In fact, many men discover that what worried them was simple and easily treated, and the reassurance alone restores confidence. The key is to shift how you see these signals. Instead of viewing them as problems or threats, see them as your body's language. Your body is your lifelong partner. It has carried you through decades of experiences, both joyful and difficult. Just like any partner, it communicates. When you respect that communication, the partnership grows stronger. When you ignore it, the relationship suffers. Paying attention also enhances pleasure. When you respond to your body's signals with care, slowing down when needed, resting when discomfort appears, seeking advice when something feels unusual, your body learns to trust you. That trust creates a state of safety, and safety is the foundation of arousal, satisfaction, and confidence. Let's return to the car analogy one more time. A driver who ignores every squeak, every flashing light, and every change in the way the car handles is setting themselves up for breakdowns. But a driver who listens, adjusts, and gets timely support enjoys the ride for much longer, with fewer worries along the way. Your body deserves the same level of attentive care, so if you've noticed changes, don't brush them off. If something feels off, give yourself permission to pause. If discomfort doesn't resolve, reach out for medical advice. Not because you should be afraid, but because you deserve clarity, reassurance, and proper care. Remember, your body is not betraying you, it is guiding you, and when you listen, when you respond with respect, you give yourself the best chance at long-term health, consistent pleasure, and renewed confidence. Ignoring signals only creates distance. Listening builds connection. In the end, caring for your body at this stage of life is not about fear, but about empowerment. It's about choosing to see every signal as an opportunity to honor yourself, because the more you pay attention, the more your body will reward you, not just with pleasure in the moment, but with strength, resilience, and intimacy that lasts well into the years ahead. As we come to the close of this conversation, take a moment to reflect on what we've uncovered together. The truth is simple, yet often forgotten. Aging does not mark the end of pleasure. It marks the beginning of a new chapter, one that calls for gentleness, mindfulness, and self-compassion. The 5 mistakes we've explored are not signs of failure. They are reminders that your body is evolving, asking you to listen more closely, and inviting you to treat it with the care it has earned over the years. Think about what happens when a craftsman works with fine wood that has aged beautifully. He doesn't force it, rush it, or handle it carelessly. He respects the grain, he works with the texture, and he honors the years that have shaped it. The result is something strong, elegant, and full of character. Your body deserves the same kind of respect. Every line, every change, every new rhythm is part of your unique story, a story that still includes intimacy, confidence, and joy. Throughout this journey, we've seen how small shifts make a world of difference. Slowing down allows your body to relax, opening the door to deeper satisfaction. Using gentler touch protects sensitivity and creates space for richer sensation. Acknowledging emotions transforms shame into acceptance and stress into calm. Practicing hygiene and self-care protects your body and enhances the comfort of the moment. And listening to your body's signals ensures you can respond with wisdom rather than regret. None of these steps are about restriction. They are about liberation, freeing yourself from old patterns and opening up to new ways of experiencing pleasure and health. It's important to remember that aging is not a loss of vitality. It's an evolution into a stage of life where wisdom carries more weight than urgency, where patience holds more power than speed, where presence means more than performance. At this point in life, strength is no longer defined by pushing harder or proving something. True strength is found in knowing when to soften, when to listen, and when to honor your needs without apology. Too many men carry quiet shame into their later years, believing that desire fades or worse, that it should fade. But the reality is that your body still longs for connection, not in the same way it once did, but in a way that is no less meaningful. Letting go of shame is not about ignoring the past. It's about choosing dignity now. It's about saying, I still matter, my pleasure still matters, and I deserve to feel at home in my own skin. When you approach your body with compassion, you discover that pleasure doesn't just continue, it deepens. It becomes less about release and more about restoration, less about proving something and more about caring for yourself. That shift doesn't just impact the bedroom, it ripples into every part of your life. Confidence grows, stress fades, relationships improve, because the way you treat yourself is the foundation for the way you connect with others. So let this be your reminder. You are not broken, you are not past your prime, and you are certainly not alone. You are stepping into a phase of life that can be rich with connection, healing, and satisfaction if you allow it. The keys are gentleness, mindfulness, and kindness toward yourself. And before we end, I want to invite you once more to become part of our everyday Ageless community. This channel is here to remind you that aging with confidence is not only possible, it's powerful. If you haven't already, subscribe today. By doing so, you're joining a space where health, dignity, and pleasure are celebrated, where men just like you are finding encouragement, knowledge, and a renewed sense of strength. Because the truth is, your journey doesn't end here. Every day you have the chance to honor your body, to build confidence, and to reclaim pleasure as part of your well-being. And when you take those steps with self-respect, you don't just age, you age agelessly. So as you move forward, carry this with you. Treat your body not as a problem to fix, but as a partner to honor. Listen, respond, and respect what it tells you. In return, it will reward you with health, intimacy, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are still whole, still vital, and still deserving of joy. Stay strong, stay mindful, and stay kind to yourself. And remember, at Everyday Ageless, we're here to walk this journey with you.